except just we have a team captain generation by generation, like
Hmm.
they go off to colleges, then we change the captain. But again, it is not based on their gymnastics.
Sure.
We had many great gymnasts that never could be a captain because they were just great gymnasts. They had good gymnastics, but they didn't have the leadership. They couldn't pull the guys behind them, like
Mhm.
with their great example for it.
Yep.
So, and Isaiah is definitely one of our best captains, though.
Yeah, I love that. I couldn't agree more that the human level things are more important than the gymnastics ability they
Oh,
have.
big time. That is probably, I would say that is number one here in our gym before everything else. Like I said, my coaches are my former gymnasts, and if I couldn't build that, I don't think they would want to
Well,
come
to that
back.
is
So
looking back on maybe some things as a younger coach. You were saying you're always learning from your gymnast, you're always learning more. What are some things that you made mistakes on early on, or that you still see other coaches making mistakes on?
oof, that's a tough one. I did make a lot of mistakes. One of my biggest mistakes before, and I'm talking about 5, 10 years ago, was I wanted it right there. I wanted it right now.
Yep.
And sometimes coaches get this great potential gymnast, potential.
Yep.
But and then just like we're telling the gymnast that gymnastics is 50%, physical and 50% mental. Coaches, we need to understand too. And when I was young and I could see a kid with a great potential, but he couldn't do something, I'm like, yeah, but you have a potential that would make me upset. But I didn't understand that it's just physical potential. The kid is mentally not ready for this. And I'm rushing and I would get frustrated and things would not be nice. And that's the biggest thing I've learned, that don't try to do it right now. Don't just plant your seeds and they will bloom on the
I'm
right
curious to know
time.
about, like,
But you have
what are
to
your
work.
practice schedules like? How much strength are you doing? Are there things like basics that you have to do every day you believe in? Like, what are the things that you feel prepare the athletes over 3 years, 4 years to kind of handle those big falls or those big skills?
The biggest thing I came up with, and I thought it's working magics, is the endurance routines on every event.
Mm,
Uh, just a basic, very basic routine with basic mount and basic dismount.
yep.
But they go through endurance.
Mm,
As you know, it's one thing to teach a skill, another thing to do the skill in the routine, then completely different story when you have to compete that skill in
yep.
your routine. So all that needs preparation and time.
Yep.
So I the biggest thing I do with my program is I came up with endurance routines on all
Mm,
6 events,
mm,
and they have to do it. So, for example, Monday, our schedule is only basics and only endurance routines and conditioning. I do not do skills. We do not push any skills. And Monday, I find that it was a good day to do that because it's a rough day for gymnastics after day off. It's a really good way of getting into the week. And
hmm.
and and I think that's the biggest thing, just endurance routines, not conditioning. Of course, we do a lot of conditioning, a lot of specific conditioning for different events, but overall to handle the big routine, we need the basic routines. Endurance routines are very big
Mm.
thing in our team.
Yeah. Would you mind sharing maybe one event of an example of an endurance routine that you would do?
Like P bars, they have to do 5 front up rises, 5 swing hop handstand, no, 5 front up rises, 5 10 swing handstands with hops and 10 pirouettes and a dismount and one turn.
Perfect.
So
Yep.
they go through pretty much 25 uh, swing
Yep.
back and
You were saying
forwards.
earlier that you've
And
learned a
you,
lot from your gymnast, and obviously you didn't walk into the sport with all this knowledge of high level skills, stuff like that. What are the things you've learned from the gymnast, or like where did you learn a lot of these high level technical skills, or like the actual?
lots of, I use a lots of my own gymnastics in my coaching, and I use a lots of mistakes that I've made as a gymnast.
Mm,
Um, like a lot of skills I worked on a skill as a whole without breaking it down and stuff. And I
mm,
learned that a lot of things you have to break down a lot, and you have to start from a very young age, those skills. Like for
mm,
example, kovac, you can start. To me, that type of skill is like 3 year development. Like you start the taps, you get the body positions, and they start studying the skill, and slowly, you just get to your skill safely rather than oh, you're 15, it's time to do Kovacs, let's go. Because that's gonna take time. So you gotta start from a very young, you know, like some of the upper body skills on on P bars. You can't start teaching them very late in their career. You have to start early, but you have to start building their body for the skill,
Right.
and not like, okay, now we're strong, let's get started, because it will take time. So you
Mhm.
start with those little tabs, and slowly you're telling the kids why you're doing this. A lot of things we do in our program, kids know they're not going to compete this for at least the next 2 years, for sure. And but they do it. It's part of our program. It's part of our schedule. It's in their schedule. It's their assignment. Like they got to do a heck tap on P bars with the upper arm from a young age. They start from small swings, slowly getting ready to that, and then when we actually start the skill, it doesn't take that long to get them
Mm.
because they're already ready for it. We did all the parts separately.
Questions about, which is kind
So
of navigating ring strength and, with these young bodies, when are we putting in crosses because of the elbows, and when are we adding in some of the stuff for like Malteses? Like, what are your thoughts on all of that?
I am scared of a cross, to be honest.
Same. Me right now, I'm scared of a cross.
Cross is something that I'm scared of. And right now, most of my boys are in that age that we slowly have to start. I am so on my toes every time, my assistant coach is spotting them on the crosses and stuff. I always go back and I always ask him, how you feeling? How's the chest? How's this? How's that? I almost like tell him not to do it, but they got to start at some point. I think 15, 16 is a good time to start the crosses.
Mm.
Until that, there's so many little things that you can do just to build those muscles, but not necessarily just go ahead and do a cross. You know what I mean? And those type of skills it's like it comes one day. It just literally comes one day. You keep building it, then one day you try and it's there. So there is no rush. I'm not rushing on crosses and stuff. I do a lot of body positions for multis. We do a lot of inverts and stuff. But cross is something that we take it very slow. And I don't know if I'm right or wrong because not I don't have too many guys doing crosses. But again, I'm a little more on the safe side, I guess. I guess that's a little too much in me. Maybe I have to be a little more. I don't know. But
No, I
I,
think
I
you're
go to I go to bed with a easy heart when
right. A lot of frustration comes up with coaches, especially on the guy side, when puberty hits and when maybe the guys get really unflexible or they're kind of losing their skills and stuff. Do you have advice to people for navigating those kind of crazy years, like those 12 to 15 years?
man, the advice is to be with their gymnasts uh, and support them through those years. These are the years that they really need your support because they go through a lot of different things. They go through different, emotional things. They go through everything's changing. Their body's changing. Their mentality is changing. Obviously, they're gonna get tighter.
Mm.
So you're just again no force, but you gotta just keep telling them why we're doing things, why you have to stay flexible. Later on, we got catch-ups coming up. You need to stay flexible. You can't be tight. So just the advice is, I would say, just be cool with the kids. Make sure make sure you're going through that with them,
Mm-hmm.
and not they're not supposed to feel alone. It's
Mm.
the 3 years of hell, literally, for these kids, because I've been through that, you've been through that. If you have that extra someone constantly yelling on your ear when you're going through either emotional or physical problems, that's not help. Coaches need to just support those years, and parents need to do the same. That's the
Time. Is
thing.
there
A
anything
lot of
else that
parents.
on parting advice you would give to people, or I think you spilled it
uh
all.
I don't know, advice. I guess my main thing I'm gonna come down to just work hard, go to the gym just to help the kids, uh, and just be dedicated, love the kids, understand that you're working with kids.
Mm.
Sometimes coaches are putting these words together, trying to, and they make sense, like they have a point there, but you see that little kid looking at the coach's eyes and they don't understand anything. you know like you have to use the words that they can understand. You have to choose the skills that fits for individual body.
Mm.
Tkachev is not for everybody. And if the kid cannot do, it's just an example. If the kid cannot do it Tkachev, it doesn't mean that's it. Like, don't, there's so many skills in the book you can find for that individual person. And not everybody's same. Treat everybody just the way they are and make sure they love you. Make sure they love the sport. If you can make that happen, you're going to get the results that you want.